Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Bishop Darrell Watkins, and let's queer up the worldview. Who will lead the church? Conclave begins amid LGBTQ hope and concern. The future of the Catholic Church and its approach to queer communities may be decided this week as 133 cardinals gather at the Vatican to begin the sacred process of selecting a new pope. Only cardinals under the age of 80 can vote in the conclave, meaning just over 100 will have the power to elect the next leader of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics. A two-thirds majority is required. Among the top contenders are 10 names stirring both hope and concern in LGBTQ circles. From Italy, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, currently the Vatican's Secretary of State, is seen as a conservative choice. He met with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance just before Pope Francis's death. From the Philippines, Cardinal Luis Antonio Joaquim Tagle, often called the Asian Francis, has criticized the church's harsh stance on gay people and unwed mothers. He could become the first modern-day Asian pope. Also from the Philippines, Cardinal Pablo Virgilio Cianco David supports civil unions for same-sex couples and champions social justice. Africa has two candidates, Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo Basungo from the Democratic Republic of Congo, who opposes same-sex blessings, and Cardinal Peter Kodwo Apaya Turkson of Ghana, seen as somewhat more LGBTQ friendly. From Italy, Cardinal Matteo Zuppi has a record of LGBTQ outreach and even wrote the foreword to Building a Bridge by Father James Martin. Representing the U.S. Cardinal, Joseph Tobin of Newark has held special masses for LGBTQ Catholics and signed a 2021 statement supporting queer youth. But also in the mix are two American hardliners, Cardinal Raymond Burke and Cardinal Timothy Dolan, both known for their staunch opposition to queer rights. Finally, from Japan, Cardinal Tarcisius Isao Kikuchi has expressed support for LGBTQ inclusion, contributing to a book edited by a gay Christian minister. Whether the conclave continues Francis's legacy of cautious inclusion or shifts the church sharply away, LGBTQ Catholics around the world are watching closely. This conclave has incredibly important implications on the LGBTQ community. Catholics are the largest religion in the world, with nearly 1 in every 4 people on earth identifying as Catholic. The Pope has a dramatic effect on political and public perception on a wide variety of LGBTQ issues, including even existence. Who do you hope the conclave will choose? I have very mixed feelings about all of it. I am not Roman Catholic. 100,000 years ago I was, but then I found my way through the Anglican tradition. But so I have mixed feelings because in one way, ecclesiastically, whatever happens doesn't really affect me. But in another way, the Pope is also a world leader. It's also a head of state, one of the few absolute monarchies still around in the world. It is an autocratic state. And so we should care, because this tiny, tiny country influences at least a fourth of the population of the planet. And so it does matter whether we're Catholic or not. And so obviously I do hope it's going to be someone who is LGBTQ friendly. But even at that, until LGBTQ people are seen fully as people, it's never going to be good enough for me.
Yeah.
You know, until it's like, well, we shouldn't be too mean to them. We should let them have some of the rights of human beings. That's better, but it's not good enough. So I'm always from the sidelines going to hope and push for full inclusion.
Yeah.
But until then, not as mean is better than completely mean.
In my head, I saw you holding like Tyra Banks's letter, and like in my hands, I hold the card of the next book, like, and you would reveal who you were gonna choose.
Is that how they revealed them now?
Remember America's Next Top Model, guys? Like,
Or the other way, I'd be like, we were rooting for you.
we were rooting for you. I feel the exact same way. As a very, I was raised deeply Catholic as a good Cuban boy, and like, you know, I was a monaguillo, like an altar server. I taught CCD for some years, and like raised very Catholic. I no longer see myself as Catholic, and but that is, it's the idea, I have to say exactly what you said, to wrap my head around that we are even naming people who are LGBTQ friendly is really almost difficult for me to comprehend.
Right.
Like, and I mean that sincerely, to be like that we are having a discussion where people are acknowledging the humanity within the Catholic Church. Like, that seems like such massive progress. And I never want to make little of that, and I don't think any of us would ever do that. But also, same, like, unless there's full inclusion, count me out. Like, that's where I stand on this, and that's it's hard for me not to have that kind of position.
Absolutely. You don't want to pick somebody that's kind of has archaic views,
Right.
you want someone that's relevant, somebody that's now with the time. So, anything less is spiritual gaslighting as far as I'm concerned. So, I'm just glad that, we have some, like you said, some contenders that are, LGBTQ plus friendly, and that, we're seeing more of a rise in that. Personally, for myself, I grew up, my family grew up Catholic. I was confirmed Protestant at the time. So I had a little bit of a really, really mix up in terms of like religion and why things work the way they are. But, when my family became Catholic, it wasn't something that I ever wanted to pursue because I knew at 14 years of age what, the stakes were for me. So I just kind of kept the way I was.
I love that.
And for me, I didn't grow up Catholic. I grew up Muslim.
Yeah.
And, religion and my sexuality always was a tug and war, because it's like, okay, you're taught one thing, but then you're taught to believe another way. And, what is it you're supposed to do? Or do you just not tell anyone, you hide the secret? But I do, think that the progress that the church has made, as little as it is still progress. And, I applaud those efforts, because why wouldn't you want more people to come back to church?
Right.
Why wouldn't you want, more, couples to seek marriage? Why, so I think of it from that perspective of it's all positives, and not negatives, because why would you want to turn your back on
Bad for business.
It is bad for business. And I don't get a vote. Nobody cares what I think. But if they cared enough how to vote, I would be Team Philippines. I think both of those are I love those candidates, especially the first one.
Yeah.
So
we're rooting for you, Philippines.
I'm definitely, except for
Tyra Banks.
Tyra Banks.
Don't forget.
Yeah.
We were rooting for you.
we were rooting for you.
That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.